for all of us. The Atlantic Coast Pipeline, moving energy in the right direction.
Good morning, America. The volcano emergency growing in Hawaii. A dangerous new crack appearing, spewing lava into the air. Now new fears of a massive eruption. Police going door to door telling people to leave right now.
Also breaking, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump right there as a new U.S. embassy opens in Jerusalem this morning. Massive protests already underway. Gunshots fired at the border, at least 7 killed.
New Southwest scare. Passengers racing to put on oxygen masks as the plane's cabin loses pressure, forcing the flight to make an emergency landing.
Royal trouble. Meghan Markle's father allegedly staging photos with the paparazzi just days before his daughter's big day. This coming after Prince Harry famously blasted photographers for their role in his mother's death. Now Markle's family speaking out. And prom gone wild. The uproar this morning over a live tiger brought into the dance floor. Did this high school take its theme too far?
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Good morning, Rick. I hope you had a good Mother's Day. Who ever heard of a tiger at a prom?
Well, what was the theme? Welcome to the jungle?
Yeah.
It was not quite like the prom I had back in the day, but we'll talk about that coming up. First, we're going to begin with that volcano emergency. New images this morning showing that eruption underway in Hawaii.
A new crack forming, the 18th crack so far, and more evacuations are underway. Our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is there on Hawaii's Big Island with the latest. Good morning to you, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Michael. We are about as close as you can get to that 18th fissure. Police say this is the largest one yet, and you may be able to hear what sounds like thunder in the distance. It's not. Right there. It's those pops of eruptions happening, and driving in this morning, I was able to see it light up the night sky from about 10 miles away. Our crew here actually felt the ground shudder, and it's one reason that officers here have been going door to door, urging people to get out. This morning, fears growing as now 18 fissures, this one several football fields in length, ripped through the earth on Hawaii's Big Island. Huge explosions this morning, hurling lava reportedly hundreds of feet into the air.
The bigger explosions, I've actually seen rocks fly over the tree line.
Listen as molten rock gurgles from the earth.
The first thing that I noticed was I heard what sounded like a jet turbine.
A sudden bang interrupting this live newscast from our Hawaii affiliate, KITV.
Again, this is fissure.
Just feet away from homes, steam rising from cracks in the blacktop. And lava creeping just a mile away from this geothermal plant. The 60,000 gallons of flammable chemicals stored there removed, but residents still on edge.
I don't want to get smogged out with geothermal blowout toxins.
This drone video shot over the weekend shows the scope of the lava flow, a river of molten black rock swallowing roads, homes, charring sections of forest. Another major concern, a potential steam explosion. The lava lake at Hawaii's Kilauea volcano dropping more than 1,000 feet out of sight. Scientists worry that if it drops below the water table and rockfalls create a blockage, the steam generated by the water and lava could build up enough pressure to send car-sized boulders flying into the air. And you can see that steam and the light from that lava gurgling out right now. It is still happening, but obviously that major concern is the possible explosive eruption. If that happens, it could spew ash over a 12-square-mile area. That could affect the 50,000 people that live on this side of the Big Island. And the big question is, if they are evacuated, where do you house all of these people? Michael.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. Scary thought indeed. And that volcano in Hawaii is raising fears of a possible eruption on the West Coast. Ginger is tracking that. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning, Michael. There have been articles all over the internet that are saying the same thing. They're saying, well, if Hawaii is erupting, then the 13 volcanoes that are on the west coast of the United States of America, they've got to be going. It's not true. So whatever you're reading out there, I want you to take note that Hawaii is in the middle of what is called the Ring of Fire, meaning that it is not on the Ring of Fire. There are different tectonic plates that kind of cause this. So I want to tell you that around that U-shaped Ring of Fire, those are from the collisions of the tectonic plates. Hawaii itself is on the Hawaiian Ridge. So it's in the middle of the Pacific Plate, and it's formed by something called a hotspot. So it's a completely different formation, completely different eruption variable that gets it going, and just something so we can really distinguish what's happening there. At the same time, doesn't mean that you don't pay attention to all of the warnings, but right now there are no other warnings for the West Coast. Michael?
All right, some good news, Ginger. You said Ring of Fire. I was thinking Johnny Cash. So
Yes, that you can think of.
I'm glad you explained that to everybody. All
Sure.
right, thank you, Ginger. Robin.
Clear that up for you, Michael. Overseas now to Jerusalem, where the new U.S. Embassy is opening this morning on Israel's 70th anniversary. Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, are there as protests erupt at the border. Our chief foreign correspondent, Terry Moran, is there in Jerusalem with the latest. Good morning, Terry. Of course, this marks an historic change in U.S. policy.
It sure does, Robin. Good morning. It is a momentous day here. So many powerful emotions. There's history and jubilation and violence in the air. In just a couple of hours now, that opening ceremony for the new American embassy here, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner leading the U.S. delegation. President Trump will speak via a video statement. And the president's decision to move the embassy here breaks with decades of American foreign policy. The idea was always that the U.S. would remain neutral on that incredibly tense issue of Jerusalem's final status while Palestinians and Israelis negotiated through their conflict. But President Trump ended all that. And the reason it's so tense is that both sides claim this city as their capital. Right now, Israelis, most of them are just thrilled about it. They're proud. They think it's about time. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is triumphant. For the Palestinians, however, this is another hard blow to their fading hopes. The Palestinian government of Prime Minister Mahmoud Abbas has actually cut off all contacts with the U.S. for weeks now.
We see the video, of course, Terry, and the number of Palestinians that are protesting. And we're already hearing reports of numerous injuries.
It's an extraordinary scene along the Gazan border. Hamas has called for a mass demonstration. Apparently, tens of thousands of Palestinians moving towards that border. Hamas says, tear down the fence. Many have been killed, many injured. This represents the culmination of weeks of protest at that border. 40 have already been killed in those weeks, and it looks like today is going to be a very violent day. Historic and happy in Israel, violent and tragic on the other side of the border.
Two different scenes. All right, Terry, thanks very much, George.
Okay, Rob, we're going to go to the White House now, and the latest on that high-stakes nuclear summit with North Korea. President's national security team out in force, laying the groundwork and raising expectations. Our chief White House correspondent, John Carl, tracking it all. And, John, they are holding out hope for a dramatic transformation with North Korea.
A huge transformation, George. The White House says that the president is undergoing extensive preparations for this summit. And Mike Pompeo, who has now met with Kim Jong-un twice, says the North Korean dictator is also preparing extensively and watching Western press of all of this. Among the expectations being raised here by the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, is that North Korea could turn over its nuclear weapons to be stored here in the United States at a facility here in the U.S. And Bolton, in talking about that, raised the possibility of not just easing sanctions on North Korea, but actually seeing large amounts of trade and investment, U.S. trade and investment in North Korea.
Hard to wrap your head around that kind of change. It's all against the backdrop of tense negotiations with China as well. China is so important to the North Korea equation, and these trade negotiations are playing out in public, the president's tweets.
Yeah, and this is something else. There's a large Chinese electronics company, ZTE, that was sanctioned because they had done trade with Iran and North Korea. The president tweeted over the weekend that he was going to try to roll back those sanctions. President Xi of China and I are working together to give massive Chinese phone company ZTE a way to get back into business fast. Too many jobs in China lost. George, this is the first time I have ever seen President Trump talk about job loss in China.
Yeah, that was really something. And just quickly, John, in this controversy over John McCain and those pretty tasteless comments made by a White House staffer, it appears that no apology is coming?
Well, Meghan McCain told ABC News over the weekend that Kerry Sadler, the White House staffer that made that comment, had said that she would publicly apologize. That public apology has not come. but Meghan McCain says she was told it is coming. So we'll see.
We'll keep
no
an
sign
eye
of
on
it yet.
Okay, John, thanks very much. We're going to turn now to that terror attack in Paris. ISIS is claiming responsibility for the deadly knife attack by a 20-year-old who stabbed 5 people, killing one before he was taken down by police. ABC's James Longman has the latest. And James, police now questioning the killer's family.
That's right, George. Good morning. This suspect's parents and a friend being questioned today. But this terrifying attack hit streets packed with people enjoying their Saturday evening near the Paris Opera House. A man armed with a knife stabbing randomly at pedestrians. He killed 1 person and injured 4 others. People inside bars and restaurants barricaded themselves in. As witnesses say, he shouted, "Allahu Akbar, God is great," as he lunged at them. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for his actions. The police were very quick to react, shooting the man and killing him, neutralizing the incident in just 9 minutes, amazingly. The suspect has now been identified as 20-year-old Hamzat Azimov, and he was on a radicalization watch list. This was not a well-planned or executed attack, nothing like the bigger plots that left many more dead at the Bataclan, for instance. But it's a reminder, especially at the start of this tourist season, to stay vigilant. George?
Certainly is. James Longman, thanks very much. Michael?
All right, thank you, George. Now, here at home, there's new trouble for Southwest Airlines. A frightening incident caught on camera. Passengers putting on oxygen masks after pressure dropped on the plane. ABC David Curley at Reagan National with the latest. Good morning to you, David.
Morning, Michael. Another incident, as you mentioned, for Southwest Airlines, and again, it is passengers donning those emergency oxygen masks. This morning, new details on that Southwest flight. Oxygen masks dropping as the jet loses pressurization heading to Dallas.
Tower Southwest 861, do you have emergency vehicles standing by for us?
Affirmative. The 120 passengers traveling from Denver putting on those oxygen masks.
I reached over and grabbed Josh by the arm because I didn't know whether we were going to make it or not.
Passengers Glenn Eichelberger and Josh Trimberger said the mask came down about 30 minutes outside of Dallas. Those emergency vehicles standing by along the runway.
You could feel the tension in the air because we didn't really know what was going on. I was just trying to comfort the people around me. There wasn't much more we could do.
This is the 3rd high-profile incident on a Southwest jet in recent weeks. Last month, Jennifer Reardon was killed after being partially sucked out a window when engine shrapnel blew out that window. That was a rapid depressurization coming at 32,000 feet. 2 weeks ago, a cracked window prompted another Southwest emergency landing. In this latest incident, Southwest says in a statement that the crew radioed ahead for paramedics to meet the aircraft after a pressurization issue in flight. Following an uneventful landing, initial reports indicate 4 of the 120 customers on board requested a check from paramedics to assess ear pain. So the question this morning, what caused that depressurization event on the Saturday evening flight? All Southwest is saying is that 737 jet is staying in Dallas, where it is undergoing a maintenance review. Michael?
All right, thank you so much, David. Really appreciate that. George?
Thank you, Michael. Now to a violent police encounter caught on camera in Milwaukee, where an officer arresting a teen is seen punching the 17-year-old twice. You see it right there. Incident now under investigation. ABC's Gio Benitez here with the story. Good morning, Gio.
Yeah, George, good morning to you. The incident happened at a mall just about 20 minutes outside Milwaukee. The video went viral over the weekend. Take a look at this again. It's a very short clip, about 7 seconds long, but you can see the officer tackling, then repeatedly punching the 17-year-old. Wauwatosa police say they had received a call Friday afternoon about 5 young men acting disorderly and causing a disturbance inside the mall. Police are releasing a statement saying this video only shows a small segment of the interaction between the suspect and the officer. Yeah, you can see that video right there. Police say they are reviewing additional video that they say shows the teen beginning to fight the police officer. The police chief saying that they look into all use of force cases and will be investigating this.
So will they be releasing that additional video?
They're looking into it. That's going to be key.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gio, thanks very much.
All right, thank you, George. A new alert now about gas prices. They could rise to levels we have not seen in years. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is at a gas station here in New York City. And Eva, President Trump pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal is playing a role in the gas hike.
That's exactly right, Michael. If your mouth is dropping when you fill up, you are not alone. As we head into the summer travel season, drivers across the country are seeing a significant bump in the price of gas. This morning, the national average $2.87. That's 44 cents higher than it was this time last year. In 9 states, drivers are already paying more than $3 a gallon for regular In California, the average price $3.69. So why the rise? There were already concerns over crude oil supply levels. Add to that the fallout from President Trump's decision to reinstate sanctions on Iran, the world's 5th largest oil producer. Those higher prices are on track to cost Americans an extra $38 billion in 2018. Now, the good news is we haven't neared that all-time high of $4.11 a gallon from back in 2008, but these sanctions on Iran could make prices continue to climb. Now, some key things to watch. Will Iran's crude oil exports be significantly restricted? And whether Saudi Arabia or another country will fill that gap, we will have to wait and see what happens and just how high these prices climb. Michael.
All right, thank you, Eva. Rising just in time for summer travel.
That's usually the case.
Yeah, you know that.
Okay. We're now to a 5-year-old girl lucky to be alive after a bear attack in Colorado. The little girl's mother coming to the rescue, and Clayton Sandell has a story where she's recovering outside of the hospital. Clayton?
Their daughter was just attacked.
This morning, the hunt is on for a black bear that attacked a 5-year-old girl.
At 5:30 this morning, it rang. It was the police telling us to stay in place, shelter in place, they said. There's an aggressive bear on the loose in this area.
Officials say early Sunday morning, 5-year-old Kimberly Sear thought she heard a noise outside. When she went to check it out, she accidentally surprised a large bear.
The mother heard screaming around 2:30 a.m., walked outside to see the bear had her daughter in its jaws.
Her mom screamed, scaring the bear away. Kimberly went to the hospital, her surgery lasting nearly 3 hours.
She had a total of 77 stitches on the outside.
Teams are now searching for the bear, placing traps, warning people to be on alert.
Now, the reason officials say they have to put that bear down, of course, is because it did attack a person. The good news is the doctors here tell us little Kimberly is expected to be okay. Robin?
We're glad to hear that. Thank you, Clayton. How about a little NBA playoffs now? Down to the Final Four, if you will. It's a bitter battle to make it to the championship. Last night, King James and the Cavaliers losing big time to the Celtics in Game 1, 108-83. Again, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. LeBron scoring just 15 points. Tonight, the Warriors will open the Western Conference Finals against those Rockets in H-Town.
Yes. Come on, Houston.
All right. Now, if the Warriors and Cavs both make it back to the finals, it'll be the 4th year in a row that has happened. But the Celtics and the Rockets have something to say about that first.
I tell you what, and 2 good opponents. The Celtics looked really good yesterday.
But King James says not to worry. That's what he says. He's not worried about that. He's not worried.
They got a long way to go. You're right about that. Now we're going to go back to Ginger. Ginger, there's severe weather over the weekend. This is moving from Texas to Virginia.
Yeah, broad area today to talk about. So let's go ahead and start with what we saw. What could have been a downburst. They're still going to do the survey when they get out there today in parts of Pennsylvania. And then look at some of the damage that happened in Pennsylvania thanks to those winds easily above 60, 70 miles per hour. That hail falling in Kansas, that low riding along, well, actually several lows, the pulses of energy that ride along that front that's going to be in the same place, going to give an area from Wichita through Des Moines, through Chicago, all the way into Virginia, the chance for severe storms this afternoon and evening. Then we look at tomorrow, and I really wanted to highlight this because over the weekend I said tornado watch was, in Philadelphia. In Baltimore, they said, we don't get those. Well, you got a chance tomorrow again of severe weather in the mid-Atlantic. Your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the select cities, sponsored by Venture Card.
I have to tell you something incredible. Capital One has partnered with Hotels.com to give Venture card holders 10 miles on every dollar they spend at thousands of hotels. All you have to do is pay with this at hotels.com/venture.
10 miles per dollar? That is incredible. I have the chills.
Because you're so excited.
Because ice is cold. And because of all those miles.
Obviously. What's in your wallet?
I'm not sure. What's in your wallet?
On thunderstorm alert again today. Strong to potentially severe storms, especially if you live in this yellow zone. Manassas, Quantico, Fredericksburg, onto the west, Winchester, Warrenton, and Culpeper. Just like this past weekend, any storms that fire could bring some high winds as well as some hail, damaging winds potentially to our area. And that threat continues all week long, Wednesday, Thursday, especially Friday. Today's temperature up to 85 degrees. Tomorrow, 92, the hottest out of the work week.
Coming up, Meghan Markle's father raising eyebrows just days before the royal wedding, allegedly taking stage photos for the paparazzi. Now Markle's family is speaking out.
And the Yale student napping in her dorm's common room when the police were called, now telling her story right here on GMA.
Get ready for an all-new Auto Trader.